All right, so we just picked up a new motor. Story behind this one is I got a new boat. The boat came with a motor that was pretty similar to this. The other one is a 115 Evinrude, and I believe it's a 76. This one is also a 115 Evinrude. It looks a little bit newer because it has different coils. I think this may be like 2 or 3 years newer, but I don't know. I haven't run the serial numbers on either one. But I believe this motor used to be on the boat that we bought. You can tell because it's got like bed liner everywhere, and there's bed liner on the hull of the other boat. At some point, the guy switched it out. Alright, so I'm going to work on the 78 Evinrude 115. I think the first thing I'm going to do is get this jumble of cables and cords organized and reattached to the motor. See if I can get some power to it and take it from there. I want to be able to check and see if there's any spark or compression on this thing. I have some replacement spark plugs, and then I want to see if it starts ultimately. So we'll see if I can get that done today. Alright, got the harness back together. Some of the wires I think were accessory wires that I just haven't felt like cutting out of the harness because it's all wrapped up in all that stuff. But the main wires, you got your power, your ground, main cable that runs to the console. Shift cables I haven't hooked up yet. I probably should. But before I do that, I'm going to take all these spark plugs out. I'm going to just put a little bit of oil in the cylinders and then see if the starter will crank. Upon a second look, it looks like these controls are missing some things, and the wiring is kind of hacked into. So, lucky for me, I have some cables. I also have, those are some controls that I had before. This is another ignition that's just as messed up as the one we're working on now. So instead I'm just going to use this. For now I'll just bypass the controls to see if I can get the starter bumps and whatnot, and then I'll put those controls back together and make one working unit out of all this. Alright, I got the new harness hooked up to this right here. This is just the regular ignition switch. This is the neutral position sensor that's inside of, that goes inside of there. That's jacks. Alright, I didn't do the best job of recording this part, but once I got the harness hooked up, I tried to start it, got a click from the solenoid. I thought it might have been the battery, so I tried to charge that. Didn't work, replaced it, didn't work. So I investigated by spinning the starter manually, and it was grinding. That led me to believe the starter was bad, which I was right. So luckily I had a starter on the other motor that I could use, but unfortunately the teeth on the starter were worn and wasn't making good contact. So I went to take the good Bendix from the bad starter, put it on the good starter to make one good unit. By the way, it looks like the other starter had been sunk at some point, so that could explain why the other motor is so rusty. Alright, so we got the starter put back together. It's back on the motor. Haven't tested it out yet, about to do that right now. Hopefully it works better than it did before and we can actually get a compression test on this thing. Let's go. Alright, we got power. Let's see. Alright, so you saw the compression test. This is 105, 115, it was like 107, 105. It's all within 10 psi, so it should be okay. I would have liked to have seen it been a little bit higher. The other motor was 110 even on all cylinders. That one, I know runs okay. Well, I know it idles okay. We'll see. We'll see how this motor does. I think we should be able to get it started. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some spark plugs in it now and hook some fuel up to it. I don't have the lower unit on there, so I don't have to worry about burning up the impeller. I'm not gonna run it for a long time, so I don't have to worry about overheating the cylinders or anything. I just wanna see if it'll actually fire up, see if the carburetor's in decent shape. So that's next. Alright, got a new fuel line or fuel adapter on there. Fuel line's hooked up. I got the primer bulb is tight. Spark plugs are on. What do you say we give it a shot? Let's go with no choke. Let's go with choke. Ooh, yeah. You can leave it closed for a second. I think it's gonna work. Oh yeah. All right. All right, so it looks like it will fire up. So what I'm gonna do next is we actually got some water pumps in for both of these things. I will put the water pump in, get this thing hooked back up completely together, and we'll take it out on the hose tomorrow and see if we can tune it up a little bit.